One creepy video shows us nature can be just as cruel underwater as it is above ground. A YouTuber named Trendy Outdoorsman is exploring the ice with his brother when they look down and find a really bizarre sight. A frozen bass is somehow sticking half out of the pond. They post a picture online, and after getting a huge response, the two return to the spot to make a video. When they carve it out, their discovery gets even weirder. The fish is trapped in the jaws of a large pike. Trendy Outdoorsman thinks the pike couldn't eat the bass and floated to the top. From there, it must have floated through an old ice fishing hole, which then resealed. I have no alternative explanation, so I agree with this theory, but I was wondering if there were any other theories as to what could have caused this freaky frozen fish incident to occur. Something's cooking in this kitchen. Published by Sasha 180683 in December of 2012. A poltergeist is startling this haunted resident. As the resident enters, a curtain that's hung in front of a washer and dryer keeps fluttering. Then a cupboard pushes open on its own, one of its doors thudding against the stove. The door swings closed and open, moving uncannily. The curtain again moves strangely around, and then back to the cupboard door. The cameraman slowly backs out of the room and then moves forward again, getting a closer look at the cupboard door and the curtain. No strings and the window isn't open. He shows the camera that it's 2 a.m. After closing the cupboard again, the door swings open, and the curtain plays around a bit more. What invisible energy powers this kitchen? A poltergeist would be my guess. YouTuber Stephen G faced a very common fear in this video. Someone secretly living in their house. He says that a couple years ago, he discovered a person living in his basement, in a closet under a table and a pile of bicycles. Surprisingly, the squatter had been living there for 3 months without ever being detected. Well, already this is creepy enough, but wait, it gets even creepier. Steve leads viewers from the front door of what appears to be an apartment building to his apartment, showing viewers where a stairway leads upstairs to the second and third floors. There is a random door to the side of this stairway with a window above. He notes that the door doesn't have a knob. He said that he just noticed the window yesterday, even though he's been living in this building for 3 years. So naturally, he broke in, unlocking the window for a search. And what he found was pretty terrifying. A makeshift bed appears in this random storage closet. The bed is a simple pile of blankets and a pillow, situated on a mezzanine of sorts, that sits above the below door. There are also boxes in the corner, and what appears to be a key laying off to the side. In part 2 of the video series, Steve manages to loop what he thinks is a key with a ski pole, but discovers it's just a keychain. In part 4 of the video series, as some YouTube comments duly note, the sheets that were originally on the bed are now folded and set on top of it. Other YouTubers note a clownish looking face appears in the bottom right hand corner of the window towards the end of the video. Yikes. Steve also says that he confronted the landlord about the space, which is obviously being lived in, and the landlord made a joke about it, saying that when he gets in a fight with his wife, he lays low in this secret room. I don't know what's creepier, a secret squatter or a landlord using this space for his own man cave in your home. Michael, Joey, and Kyla of Glowing Ghost Paranormal hunt for evidence of the paranormal at the McIntyre Villa, a haunted estate in Atchison, Kansas, where 9 lives were lost. Sightings of shadow figures, moving objects, and slamming doors are not uncommon. Glowing Ghost Paranormal has an EVP session that's different from any other I've seen. Joey and Kyla are asking paranormal questions. Only one person, Michael, can hear what the spirit box has to say. Michael wears headphones and a blindfold to make sure he can't understand what is being asked.
How old are you? 9. Picture.
The voice of a little ghost girl comes to Michael. It doesn't say its name, and when they ask why it's down here with them in the basement,
can you tell us why you're here?
I heard it was like a scream in the thing.
the camera audio glitches out at the same time Michael says he hears a voice screaming, which indicates that something bad has happened down here, something that this 9-year-old ghost doesn't know how else to describe besides letting out a scream. The EVP session is working, his answers are making sense, and when they ask more about what happened, things get terrifying fast.
It sounds like nice or not nice.
Oh my god. Can you tell us the name of the person that hurt you?
No.
Michael's answers match the questions so well that I'm wondering if he can hear what they are asking after all. Keep listening and tell me if you think this exchange is real or fake.
I'm getting the chills. Soldier? Go look.
I'm spooked.
Oh my god.
The wall?
If you want us to go look in the library with the man, the soldier, can you say yes?
Yeah.
They take the paranormal investigation upstairs, and sure enough, in the library there is a man in uniform, just like the spirit box said to look out for. Behind the door they find this picture of a young girl, on the back of which is her name and this mysterious code that I was hoping you can help me solve. What does it mean? I'm not saying this is fake, but I guess they could have looked in this room beforehand and formed their answers based on what they saw. If what the ghost says is true, however, the only thing left to do is look inside of the wall like it wants. Maybe it remains inside. Oh, and there is one final scary moment in this video that no one has been able to solve. Watch their reflections in the mirror. The mirror image moves while the ghost hunter is still standing in place, so my analysis is that this house is haunted and their whole investigation is probably real. With a Ouija board in hand, a YouTuber named Contagious Noise takes her girlfriend and her sister to an old barn that's just beyond city limits. They are positive that this barn is very haunted and therefore the perfect place to contact the other side. The group laughs and carries on playfully at first, but it isn't long before the situation grows alarmingly serious. Tell me if it really looks like the pointer is moving all by itself here.
On my grandma, I'm not doing it. Garrett?
I swear on everything. I'm not. Look at my fingers.
Soon they contact the spirit of a 4-year-old who could possibly be named Ryan. They are trying to ask it more questions when out of nowhere it spells out the name Grace, which is the name of one of the girls. The spirit doesn't seem to want to give any real answers. Sometimes the Ouija board simply spells letters at random. Just when they get the feeling that a spirit is messing with them, a random noise confirms their suspicions.
Or ask who the 4-year-old was. Why they're here?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Each one of them promises that they are not playing a joke and they decide to try again. This time the Ouija board spells out a single word.
Help. Say goodbye.
The silence and foggy stillness underwater are spooky enough, but encountering a ghostly wreck 20,000 leagues under the sea will put you in another world. Published to YouTube by Tim Powell in February of 2010, this footage captures the aftermath of the SS Thistlegorm in the Red Sea. The British armed merchant ship was powered by a triple expansion steam engine and built in 1940. A year later, in October of 1941, Germans sunk the USS Thistlegorm. Near Egypt, the ship was headed to Alexandria on its fourth and what would be its final voyage. The ship sailed south around Cape Town, South Africa. Due to the German and Italian occupation of the Mediterranean, an accident in the Suez Canal caused the cargo to be held up and moored at safe anchorage F for about a month, which turned out to be not so safe, since there is where it was sunk. Guided by local fisherman Jacques Cousteau, rediscovered the wreckage years later, recording his findings in his book The Living Sea. Ever since, the shipwreck, which lies about 100 feet below the surface at its deepest, has been a hotspot for recreational divers, mainly due to its treasure trove of cargo. After all, it's a steam train that's been waterlogged for upwards of 80 years. This footage is a window into its underwater world that fish, seaweed, barnacles, and coral reefs have now overtaken. What's the creepiest thing that you've found on an urban exploration? I'm betting it's not creepier than what Explore Abandoned Places with Tattooed Tony Alton found in St. Louis. The YouTuber published this in February of 2017, writing, "We found part of a spinal column in the basement of this creepy abandoned house." The YouTuber goes on to say that the entire street is abandoned. No big surprise if it's scary and dangerous. Tattooed Tony says the houses here were built sometime between 1910 and 1916. As he enters the first building, you can see that it's completely tattered and dilapidated. The wallpaper is flaking from the walls. The ground is absolutely covered in debris and filth. There's still furniture left over in some of the upstairs rooms. It looks as though whoever lived in these homes just up and left one day, leaving everything behind. As he walks through the building, you can hear wind whipping through the place, so it's understandable why the ceilings and all the walls are flaking. But it's when Tony heads into the basement that things get really chilling. Here, he comes across part of a spinal column. Some in the comments debate whether it was from an animal or a human. Whatever the species, Tony wrote, it was a little spooky. Urban exploration can have its risks. The question is now, what is the story behind the spinal column? Seeing is Believing, published by Cryptic Media in October of 2007, a man is sharing his experience with the paranormal when the paranormal occurs in plain sight right behind him. The man is explaining to his friend about a time when he felt like he was ambushed in bed. He describes feeling something unseen holding him by the neck while the bottom half of his body was rising.
In bed?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, what happened?
No, I was just like laying in bed, you know what I'm saying, and dozed off, and when I dozed off, something like grabbed a hold of my neck right here.
But as he explains, watch the dark doorway behind him. A ghostly pale figure moves past in a flash. Although you can't make out what the figure is, it appears to be glowing. Some in the comments think it could have been someone else who lives there passing by the door, but commenter Jennifer Mills Young disagrees. She writes, "Interesting because the spirit appears to have a light source shining on it or is giving off its own in the dark hallway. It is only highlighted in part. Is this the ghost the man is talking about? Or are these guys contending with numerous phantoms?" The Ninjin is supposed to be a large aquatic humanoid that was originally discovered by Japanese whale researchers in the Arctic. This video, allegedly taken from the Japanese Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, appears to strongly corroborate the legend. The slow-moving camera creeps past what appears to be a rounded humanoid creature with two large white eyes. Look closely and you can see a playful smile across the sea creature's face in what some have called a knowing look. Everything from a whale to a rock has been proposed, though nothing has been verified. Let me know if you think this video is evidence of a human-like creature lurking somewhere in the icy waters below. This video was supposedly taken by a robotic camera while surveying an old oil tanker. A school of fish briefly swims in front of the camera, and suddenly one of the fish gets nailed by a spear in front of the camera. Something fast swims by to collect the fish shortly after. Many people believe that this video demonstrates the possibility of some kind of advanced sea creature who uses tools to hunt. After all, there's no reason for a person to be this far underwater hunting with a spear, and whatever moves in front of the camera is too fast to be a person. Of course, the obvious answer is CGI, but I would love to get your thoughts. What do you see here? Posted to the Paranormal Video subreddit, Redditor Upstairs Bicycle 1721 wants some sort of explanation for this mysterious clip. Let's take a look. The mysterious vertical rods hover side by side in front of the camera for a moment before one of them takes off and disappears out of sight. The second figure slowly drifts right until it's out of frame. Nearly everyone in the comments is perplexed by this video. Although I don't think this is a spider web either, I don't have any rational ideas as to what they could be. Do you have an explanation? This ghost hunter crosses into haunted territory with only his faith and a camera. Caught on tape is a giant unknown creature that does some really scary things. 11 minutes and 28 seconds is when they notice the shine of its eyes.
ये यार ये देख लाइट लग रहा है यार कमरे के अंदर से हाँ ये देख ओफ अल्लाह देखा रिकॉर्ड किया लाइट लग रहा
Lying on the roof is something much larger than them.
ये अल्लाह अकबर ये देख अस्तगफुरुल्लाह ये क्या है यार रहीम हाँ वो मामूली नजर आ रहा है मामूली नजर आ रहा है इधर ओ अल्लाह अकबर इधर रहीम इधर
A mysterious figure peeks from the window. Watchful eyes retreat down the roof as they approach.
हाँ दिख रहे अस्तगफिरुल्लाह दिख रहे अल्लाह ऊपर ये देख अस्तगफिरुल्लाह ये क्या है अल्लाह ये देख यार पैरानॉर्मल शोज में पहली दफा दुनिया में यार इस तरह की कोई चीज अस्तगफिरुल्लाह अल्लाहु अकबर
Footsteps turn them around, but nothing's there, and when they turn back, the figure is in the window again, along with the creature above. What is this bizarre thing looking at them from the doorway, and is it paranormal? I think it could be. A YouTuber named Elton Minea Severo is recording a webcam video. When a phone call interrupts him, it looks like he might sense that something is nearby when he is talking, but he is too distracted by the conversation to give it much more than a moment's thought. As soon as he hangs up the phone, a white moon-shaped face peeks in from around the corner. It surveys the room for a bit before ducking down and leaping out of sight when Elton turns around, at which point you can momentarily see some kind of weird body with short arms and legs. There is a chance that all of this could be edited, but before you immediately think this is fake, keep in mind that it was recorded in 2006, so pretty much all webcam videos looked grainy like this. If anything, this was a pretty high quality video for its time, especially considering YouTube was less than 2 years old when it was uploaded, so who knows what it could have been. If you're like me, there's one thing apart from sharks that you were scared of when swimming in any pool as a child: the pool drain. As it turns out, we weren't worrying in vain. The 18-year-old lifeguard in this video is trapped by the pool drain and held under to the point of becoming unconscious. How did this happen? The lifeguard dove into the water to retrieve a kid's goggles that were dropped at the bottom of the pool, and when he reached his arm into the pool drain, it reached back. He couldn't get his arm out of the drain. Pulling and tugging, he was quickly losing air and probably hyperventilating, making him lose it even faster. When the other lifeguards finally realized that their friend hadn't come up yet, and in fact was motionless at the bottom of the pool, they jumped into action. One of the lifeguards cleared the pool, while the other dove in to save his colleague. He tugged and tugged, trying to get the arm to release, but it wasn't moving. The rescuer swam to the surface and told the other lifeguard to call 911. He then tried again to release his colleague from the drain, to no avail. When he came up for air again, someone said to turn off the pumps. The drain was acting like a suction cup on its victim, pulling mercilessly and not letting go. A single lifeguard's power is no match for this vacuum. So that's what he did. He turned off the whole system, but he was still unable to free his colleague, as the pump was somehow still in force. When a paramedic arrived, he dove in, and they were at last able to free the lifeguard. The guy was underwater for about 6 or 7 minutes, but after performing CPR, they got a spontaneous pulse. They transported the lifeguard by helicopter, where he began seizing. His brain was swelling, but medication was administered, and he fell into a coma. There were no signs of brain damage when he regained consciousness. While this footage is a rescue 911 reenactment of what actually happened, and a dated one at that, it is scary and reminds us that there's no doubt that pool drains can be dangerous. They can even kill. A singing bowl is an instrument of meditation that comes from Tibet. You strike it like you would a gong, and the vibrations are meant to induce a different state of consciousness. Here, a rather serious and displeased looking face appears in the singing bowl after it's filled with water and struck. It can't be a reflection of the person filming because there's no body underneath and obviously no camera. I think this is probably edited because of the low resolution, but then again, this video could be taken from a remote monastery that has little use for modern technology. A CCTV video captures an ill-mannered apparition as it ravages a store just 20 minutes shy of 3 a.m. It slinks across the far wall first, knocking 2 items off the opposite shelf as it moves down the aisle. To be honest though, the way this object on the top shelf gets caught at 13 seconds looks like it could be pulled by a string. Next, the shadow somehow passes across the aisle without appearing in the glass or the bright reflection on the floor. A minute later, the door to the cooler shakes hard enough to rattle the glass in its pane. Camera 7 shows the outside of the cooler, and camera 8 shows the inside. Nobody is anywhere nearby, or in the entire store for the matter, and yet the door shakes uncontrollably. I think this could be a real poltergeist because of one simple fact. This door is airtight to keep the drinks cold. It has no knob to grab onto and must be opened with a button on the wall. Therefore, I don't think somebody could have made it shake like this, even if they stood on the other side and tried. YouTuber Om Vlogs stayed in this haunted hotel for 24 hours, and they didn't get a wink of sleep. It all began with the closest doors.
उठ उठना उठ 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 ये देखो ये अबे ये देख सामने देख गेट ये देख
They slam closed but then open again. They open wide enough to reveal that there's no one inside.
क्या करें जाके देखो देख अभी मूवमेंट है देख मूवमेंट है ये भी ये पूरा खुल गया देख
Later, they believe something is in the bathroom. Watch for the shadow in the corner. While the YouTuber thinks that this is a shadow person, I think it could belong to him. Watch it again. Could it just be the way this light falls in the bathroom? Share your opinion in the comments. Security cameras in this home didn't spy any intruders while this family was on vacation. At least, not of the mortal kind. Published by Grasshopper 222 in July of 2011. The living room camera captured what looks like a cat toy moving across the floor. The only problem? There's no cat in sight. Moments later, a strange noise resounds in the room, and several objects fall to the floor. The bathroom's camera captured further paranormal activity. 2 toothbrushes fling from the counter, not falling but as if propelled by an unseen force. The faucet turns on full blast sometime later, while something flings into the sink. This is followed by the toilet flushing, and what sounds like the lid slamming shut. In the garage, although it's dark, you can hear noises. The YouTuber says it's a drill, and the doors on his father's car door. You can see the car's interior lights turn on when the doors open. In the kitchen, activity occurs over several days. Watch closely. Days later, this happens. While some in the comments are perplexed by this blatant activity, others are spotting things you may not have seen, like this shadow. Do you too think this house is in need of a priest? Derek Desso Daly finds himself in a darkened cemetery on a 24-hour challenge with some friends. There's only some basic snacks and a small flashlight to split between the 3 of them, but they feel confident nothing serious will happen. Derek barely gets into the cemetery, and already he hears strange sounds that I don't think can easily be faked.
I don't see anything past this road. Oh, what's that sound? Hey man, there's somebody walking right there, bro. Where?
Derek claims to see someone off in the distance, though I personally don't see anything. Still, he turns off his flashlight and quietly walks away to avoid detection. Other than that, nothing else happens until around 3 a.m., at which point the strange sounds return. Even louder this time.
Yeah, we have a Ouija board and we have
They start playing with the homemade Ouija board and think they see something move in the trees. Then they think they hear footsteps. It's hard to say if they are just being paranoid or really experiencing something paranormal, since nothing special is caught on camera. Later though, when they begin chanting a spell to speak with any nearby spirits, I can definitely hear what they are talking about. Eventually, one of them gets separated from the group and is covered in red when he returns. He claims to have fallen, but something about his story sounds off.
Yo, what happened? Something fell.
Something falling on its own seems quite unlikely, making the claim of paranormal activity even more plausible. This footage was apparently found inside the Penhurst Asylum, which is a real abandoned place located in Pennsylvania. The footage contains 2 students exploring the clearly abandoned building, and while nothing too bizarre happens in this footage, the backstory and timing are enough to make you scream. The 2 student explorers were never seen again after this. Well, that is terrifying enough. I want you to focus on the timestamp in the corner. Notice how they are ending up in new spots in the asylum at a faster and faster rate. Near the end of the video, the pair end up in the forest at a rate where the speed they are traveling is simply inhuman. What do you think is happening here? If this footage is real, then it is a case where the happenings would never be believed, if not for it being recorded. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.